Alright guys, welcome back to another Fortnite video, and in this one, we're going to be having a ton of fun going over a bunch of brand new things in the brand new update, the high stakes update, and specifically, we're going to be going over changes and other interesting things that you may not know in this brand new update. So yeah, most of them will be changes like stuff having to do with locations on the map like Dusty Divot, changes to a bunch of the weapons in game that you may not know, and even some other funny things like one thing with the grappler which you definitely have to see. But yeah, it's mostly going to be changes with some other fun things added in here and there, so it should definitely be a fun video. But yeah guys, if you are hyped for the high stakes update, have been enjoying it a ton, hit that like button down below. Always helps me out a ton and encourages me to make more of these videos. On top of that, be sure to comment what you've been loving most about the update, like the new game modes and stuff like that. I mean, I like the new high stakes game mode, but I don't know, soaring 50v50 still might be my favorite. I hope they keep that around for a while. But without further ado here guys, let's jump on into it with the first thing I want to go over, and this one is actually pretty big, and you probably haven't noticed it because it's kind of a small change but also a big change at the same time, if you know what I mean. And if that doesn't make sense, it will make sense here, but it has to do with the rocket launcher. That's right guys, one of the best weapons in the game. By far, if you get this, you definitely have an advantage over some other players, but they recently made a change to it, and the main part about this change is that you can no longer get the rocket launcher in the blue rarity. That's right, it only comes in epic and legendary variants and can no longer come in the most common variant. So at first, I know what you're probably thinking. That will mean that the rocket launcher will be dropping almost not at all, and that is kind of the case, but they did actually adjust some of the other rarities to sort of make up for that. So let's quick go through the stats of that so you are fully aware of what is going on with this weapon. But basically, they did slightly increase the drop rate of these, and now that I'm really looking at it, it's insane how rare these weapons actually are in game. So the specific things they say are, quote, increased epic rocket launchers drop chance from 0.11% to 0.73%. And again, the epic is the purple variant. But man, I did not even think it was that rare to get this weapon out of a chest or something like that. And that doesn't affect airdrops. I'm pretty sure it is talking about chests and mainly ground loot, but for sure most likely with chests. Now, if you thought that was crazy, it actually gets more crazy with the legendary variant, because they say they increased the legendary rocket launcher drop chance from 0.03% to 0.10%, which just doesn't seem right, doesn't it? That seems insane to me. I feel like that slightly might be off, because that's like a 1 in 3,000 chance of getting it from a chest before the update, and even after this update it changed to 1 in 1,000. I don't really know if that's right, but either way guys, that's pretty crazy. You're not going to be seeing this weapon very much, and this is mainly the reason why. But keeping it going here with the next one, and this one is pretty short, nothing too huge, but I did want to confirm that the getaway mode will be cycling through all variants of the mode itself. And what I mean specifically by that is that we have had it already in squads, then we've had it in duos, and with confirmation from some of the people at Epic, we can expect it to also cycle through to solo coming up real soon, which is for sure guys going to be a pretty crazy version of this mode. But like having 25 people most likely at each of the 4 safes at the beginning of the match, gonna be pretty crazy. And already duos is a ton of fun. It's bumped up the engagements quite a bit from squads, so just take that, probably turn it up a few notches, and you'll have solo getaway, which should most likely be coming out soon. Again, we don't have an official date for that or anything, we just know that it's probably around the corner in a few days, judging by how they switched it from squads to duos. So yeah, pretty cool there. But moving on to the next one, this one has to do with the brand new Dusty Divot Cafe, and not just that the location is now there. Obviously this location is huge, all of you know about the location itself, so that's not what I want to talk about. And honestly guys, it is a really cool location, but yeah, there's some interesting things instead with the location itself. If you also take a look at this one section of Dusty Divot, you'll notice this little panel here, which is super interesting because it actually means something important for the future of the Fortnite map. But as you can see here, it has various things about the divot itself, and the first of which is the meteor striking this location, and that was at the beginning of season 4 I believe. But then it goes on to show the meteor itself and like a thermometer next to it, a temperature gauge, and as you guys remember, the meteor was like glowing in the center of it. And then the next picture relates to that by showing like the investigation area that was surrounding the meteor itself, and then it moves on to the final little panel which shows the thing inside of the meteor with a question mark on it, but that was the thing that contained the visitor. So it is very interesting to see this all together, but with this it does signify that Dusty Divot will be around for a while longer. There was the possibility that Dusty Divot could have gotten filled in and that the old area would sort of get put back, especially with the enforcers coming back and and sort of trying to put things back together. Like, that was something I had thought about, but now I'm pretty sure that this area isn't going to be going anywhere anytime soon, simply because they put all this work into this area. They're not going to get rid of these signs and stuff for a while longer, probably about at least another season. And then on top of that, you can also see that the sign out in front of it has the meteor going into a cup of coffee, so again, it's most likely that Dusty Divot will be staying around for a while longer. But after that one, there's a small little change that is so important, guys. You really need to hear this one. No joke, it's amazing. But they finally did it. When you're in the lobby, you can choose your emotes. It doesn't just go with the first one in your locker. You get the full wheel of emotes to show off in the lobby, and it is just beautiful. Such a random change, to be honest, but come on, guys. You gotta be a little bit excited for that. Now you can use whatever emote you want to annoy your friends. That is just perfect. Now moving on again here, this one has to do with a buff to the burst rifles in the game, which actually makes them a little bit better, and you might want to be picking them up a little bit more now. But yeah, let's just jump right into it with the details of this one. First of all, you have when holding down the trigger, the first two bursts are more accurate, which now that I'm thinking about it, I may have to test out because I don't really know a ton of people that hold down the trigger to fire the bursts. I sort of just tap them, but the next one here is definitely more obvious. The spread down sights benefit increased from 35% to 40%, which is also a little bit confusing, but I think that means it's a little bit more accurate. It doesn't go as far out from the center of your reticle, so definitely a welcome change. And then crouch spread benefit reduced from 25% to 20%, so that's actually a nerf, a little bit less accurate there. And then you also have jumping falling spread penalty reduced from 25% to 10%, which is a pretty significant change, meaning it is going to be more accurate when you're jumping around and not aiming down your sights. On top of that, there's also a sprinting spread penalty reduced from 50% to 30%. That's really not that big of a thing. But yeah, guys, a lot of accuracy changes to the burst rifle, which was already pretty accurate, so it may be a little bit more viable now. But after that, we actually have something that's not really a change. I guess it's kind of technically a change because you weren't able to do it before. But overall, it's just an interesting thing I wanted to include in this video. And this thing was discovered by, I believe, Fickle Platypus on Reddit. So he's the one who figured it out. But if you guys didn't know, you can actually grapple the rockets that fly out of the guided missile launcher, which I know sounds pretty insane and it's kind of pointless, but honestly at the same time it's really pretty cool. Like, as you can see here in this clip of me just messing around with it, I was actually able to do this to get on top of a mountain, which probably isn't that helpful because you could just grapple the mountain. But either way, you could probably do some really cool things with this, get some really cool eliminations, or like if somebody's sitting up in there one by one and you fire this rocket at them and then grapple it all the way up and get like a no scope, something like that. There's definitely a ton of awesome things you can do, but either way, this one is pretty cool. But keeping it going here, this next one is actually a pretty big change, and it has to do with the sniper rifles themselves, and specifically the bolt action sniper rifle. So basically what they did to it with this update is they removed the legendary variant of the bolt action sniper rifle. That's right, guys, that's a pretty interesting change. You can no longer get it from supply drop or from chests or occasionally on the ground if you get super lucky, and you can still get it in the blue rarity and also the purple rarity. So why exactly would they make this change and decide to randomly remove it from the game? Well, we don't know like 100% for sure, but it makes the most sense that they did this so that the heavy sniper is technically the legendary version of the bolt action sniper rifle, which, you know, does make sense. There really was no point to having a golden bolt and then the heavy sniper when they were basically the same type of weapon, and the heavy sniper was clearly better, besides its reload time and stuff like that, but it's more accurate at range, it can destroy walls and stuff. It's definitely the better version, so I think this is a positive change. However, you will not get the sniper as much because they didn't increase the heavy sniper's drop rate or anything like that. I guess probably it's a little bit increased because there's less weapons in the legendary pool, but yeah, pretty interesting stuff overall. And then on top of that, something you may have noticed in game with some other snipers, the semi-auto snipers, which just feels so weird, this change. You may have noticed that they now only come in green and blue rarity. Yeah, that's right. So those ones you've been picking up in game, those are the only versions you can get. You can no longer get purple rarity and I believe legendary. I'm not sure if they removed that this patch or a previous patch, but for sure they now only come in green and blue. So that does make them a lot more common and honestly makes them fit their effectiveness pretty well. Personally, I never would pick these up, especially in the legendary variant. It just didn't make sense. They were not that useful. So yeah, I think I can fully get behind this one. Now keeping it going here with a funny one, but obviously guys, if you've been to Tilted, you've noticed that the brand new building right here is officially done. And we talked about this, how they sort of revealed it in the trailer early, but it is officially finished, and that's not what I really want to talk about. There's something that really annoys me about this building, okay? And it's not the weird light glitch that happens inside of it. I don't know if that's just the settings I use, but it like flickers on and off. It's a little bit weird, but no guys, it has to do with this floor right here. If you go over to the golf area, you can see that there's a little test putting green, as you see in like sports stores, and it's even got a sign right next to it. It's got the hole right there, but for some reason you cannot actually sink a putt on this one, which makes me a little bit sad. Well, not really, but come on guys, I would be lying if I didn't say I was at least a tiny bit disappointed that you didn't get the little effect of sinking a putt on this one. I thought for sure it would have worked. So yeah, that's a random little thing, definitely pretty funny, but this area overall is super cool. I do miss the pallets there, that is for sure, but it's got a lot of good loot and it's a fun place to have. And then after that guys, there's one final thing I want to talk about in this video, and this isn't a current change, but it's one that was talked about like around this update by some people at Epic, and it will be a change that's going to be coming soon, so might as well go over it. But if you guys have thought that it's a little bit weird that wins and stats are tracked in the limited time modes, and I think mainly like the squads, duos, and solo modes, I don't think stats are tracked in 50v50, but yeah, apparently they are working on switching it over so that there's a separate category for limited time mode stats and your regular base stats, which I definitely think is a good thing, because when like the solo game modes come around, I don't really care about my stats because I do a bunch of video stuff in solo, which messes with the stats anyways, but still, I know a lot of you out there are concerned with your stats, so this will hopefully be pretty good to help separate those two so that you guys can have game modes to just mess around with and not have to worry about winning or stuff like that. You can just have fun in them, so definitely looking forward to that. But yeah guys, that is going to be it for today's video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more videos like this coming out in the near future. On top of that, you can check out some of my previous videos here, such as on the left, going through a bunch of new leaks, such as weapon skins probably coming soon, and then on the right, the week 8 challenges guide. But other than that guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I will see you in the next one.